Hello everyone, Shen here. Anyway, I wanted to make a little quick video tonight on my tarot cards. And this is a deck of 100 tarot cards that I designed about 6 or 7 years ago. And the idea behind this deck, as you notice, they're not square, they're kind of rounded. Well, they're actually 10-sided. And so it's the idea that each one of the sides is a gate on the card, and that influences the meaning of the next card you pull, right? And so you'll pull your first card, like this one, the Five of Swords, okay? And you'll lay that down. That's basically the significator. And instead of like a normal spread that you would do, this deck, you just kind of move through the cards and whatever kind of feels like a good card. And also because they can be reversed or upright and have their meanings changed by the gates or the edges, right? Then we kind of spin the cards, right? We turn them, and then we find a card again that feels like it feels good, and then we'll just lock it in to whatever side or gate kind of feels like it should intuitively go, right? And so with the Five of Swords being a significator, that's kind of a situation, right? And then we kind of move and we start placing these other cards that we pull, right? And so what makes this deck have 100 cards is it has 22 extra cards that are places, which are basically the 11 most common places that we go to in about a month's time. And then with those 11 most common places, there's either staying at the place for longer than about 2 hours, or leaving or going to the place, right? Traveling from or traveling to the place. And so what that does is it gives us all these opportunities at these places to either have people there that we're interacting with or situations that are happening right at these places. And so we go ahead and we just kind of make a layout of however we kind of feel where the cards should go, and we just kind of lock them into place. And whenever we kind of keep going outward, then all the cards that connect on both sides of a card also influence it, right? And so here we have a kind of a basic reading, a basic layout. And with each of these cards, I have a little bit of symbolism. Like the Five of Swords, we have, looks like Venus in Aquarius. And then it basically gives us the meaning, okay? And with the Five of Swords, that's usually with some sort of conflict. It's basically saying that somebody's taking an advantage, an unfair advantage. Often it means someone is actually maybe even stealing, right? Or there's this idea of taking in an unfair way, okay? And then we have these different gates that are situated around the card. So we have a gate of Bina, which is opposing force, and that moves into a card that is the Tower, so that's a major arcana lesson. That is the opposing force to this Five of Swords. And then we have Hakma, which is a unifying force, and that's a Queen of Swords. So there's a Queen of Swords connected to this Five of Swords, or somebody taking unfair advantage, trying to get their way, and it looks like it's a Queen of Swords that's involved, and she's reversed, right? So she's usually considered the harsher Queen of Swords. And then on the other side of that, it has to do with the Ten of Cups, or happiness within a family. And then that's connected to this Queen of Swords as far as part of her motive, right? Because that's her rational thoughts, right? The gate of Hod is where it's connected to this Ten of Cups. So you can see on this one branch how this person is influencing this situation. That's the main part of the reading, right? And then through Netzach, or an emotional desire part of this, we have the Seven of Wands. So this Seven of Wands is actually giving fuel to this Five of Swords. This motive of the Seven of Wands. And then over here we have, through it looks like a sod, the dreamer's intent. We have a Six of Coins, receiving help over, 6 months with finances and that. But what's interesting is then it's connected also through Kesser, or a divine source, and it's this House of Labors. A House of Labors is generally your work, or your place of work or employment, right? And then we come back again to the Five of Swords. We have the Tower on the other side of that. Through the Gate of Chesed, or mercy, we have a Four of Swords reversed. And then we also, between the Tower and the Six of Coins, we have the Village Merchant, which again is this little shop that's in my town, right? And so this is kind of showing the situation that's happening around, kind of involving this little shop. That's kind of the main place, right, that's connected to this situation. But then we have a House of Labors, which is basically a place where you're employed, right? And it's saying over 6 months, Six of Coins. And then, with the situation, each one of these of a Five of Swords it's actually showing a time period, a period of time that this is happening, right, through each gate. And usually swords, I find, are actually years, but then all the gates are broken up into part of that, right? The wands are weeks, the cups are days, the coins are months, of course, and then you have your major arcana, which could be happening at any time, right? And so some systems say that swords appear whenever there's a conflict, but I usually find that the conflict or sickness is ongoing, right? Like a chronic illness or an illness that's happening, right? And so we do have all four suits. We have the swords, which are usually years, the coins are months, the wands are weeks, and the cups are days, right? So you can kind of go through this and kind of see the timing. And it looks like the only really heavy lesson is the Tower that's being learned here. Okay. And this other lesson of possibly taking advantage of a situation where somebody is taking too much or stealing. They're taking advantage of their strength or their power. And then we have this Queen of Swords that's reversed. And so she's probably connected or creating this situation. And again, it's because she wants this happiness and fulfillment of family, people around her. What's underneath the situation is the Seven of Wands. And that is wanting to make a project pay off, right? And over 6 months receiving money. That's also feeding into this. Right? But it's almost like, again, the situation of a Five of Swords is almost like thievery, right? Or stealing, taking advantage. And then on the other side of the Six of Coins is this House of Labors, having people work there as another place, but it's coming to and from. So it's like people who come in to actually work, not necessarily stay there, but they travel to and from. And then again, we're connected to this Village Merchant, which is probably the place where this is all happening. And again, the Tower is this idea of having a breakdown in stability, right? And that can be in a place where you're living, or the stability of say, the business, right? And then we have this Four of Swords reversed, and it's saying kind of through that, there's healing that isn't really happening, right? A Four of Swords is normally taking time to heal from trauma and from, these issues, the problem, right? And especially being a Queen of Swords reversed, that's a powerful woman that is usually alone, from relationships maybe that she's had to cut off from bad things, right? And when it's the Queen of Swords reversed, it means that she's possibly very bitter and very controlling, and maybe even mean-spirited, because she kind of gets off on her power now. So she's not balanced. It's an unbalanced person. And of course, a Swords is an air sign person, or a person that believes in principles that they're fighting for, right? But it's reversed. And then this Four of Swords being reversed means that the trauma she can't heal from, right? The Tower is this constant lesson of maybe eviction or losing places that she tries to set up, as far as either a household or a business, you know. And then again, it's connected to this village merchant store, right? And over 6 months, this idea of receiving money or receiving help. And so that's a kind of a quick little reading that kind of shows you how this deck works. And so thanks for tuning in.